You are losing thousands of dollars per day by not delegating or delegating the wrong tasks. Today, we're going to cover what your time is truly worth as a business owner, as an independent insurance agent. Time is your most valuable asset. You've heard that before, I'm sure, but today we're going to get into the numbers behind time and what it's actually worth to you. So stick around and learn more about some tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can start delegating like a pro today. My name is Glenn Shelton. I am the founder and CEO of Hire Heroes. At Hire Heroes, we hire the top 1% of virtual talent based out of the Philippines, and we vet them, we work with them, we make sure they are a proven commodity, and then we assign them to your business or your agency where they can hit the ground running and give you success in the delegation space right away. Instead of taking 2 to 4 weeks to bring on a virtual assistant or to bring on a new employee, we've got this down to 2 or 3 business days from the time you request. So if you would like more information on how you can get a virtual assistant, click the link below or head over to hireheroes.com today. So what is your time worth? I really want to start there because I think this is where a lot of people get lost. If you were at the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Summit earlier this year in 2025, you may have seen that I talked about this from the stage, How to Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. This is a fantastic book, and there's a whole section in here where Dan talks about the value of your time and really what it's worth. The simplest way to give you an idea of what your time is worth is to take, for example, let's say you made $100,000 last year. And let's say you worked, for round number's sake, 1,500 working hours, okay? So that's probably about 38 hours a week. The average agent probably putting in around there, okay? So 1,500 total working hours, you made $100,000. That would equate your time to about $65, $66 per hour that you were making. Obviously, the more you write or the more money you bring in, the more your time gets worth if you're calculating it in this manner, okay? So once you have your number, whatever that is, whether it's $30 an hour or $300 an hour, taking your annual revenue or the annual amount that you got paid and dividing it by approximately how many hours you worked. For the sake of this video, we're going to go with $65 per hour. I think that's a safe number that a lot of agents are making pretty quickly. So $65 per hour. Let's say that's how much you're making. Then you look at, so now that you have that number, the next step in this process of really figuring out what your time is worth is now doing really a full audit of what tasks you're doing on a day-to-day, a week-to-week, and a month-to-month basis. Because in order to really maximize and increase the value of your time, which I think we all would love that, right? Who wouldn't like to see the value of their time go up? If you're getting paid, for the sake of this video, $65 per hour, wouldn't you like to see that go up to $650 per hour so that your time's even more valuable when you're putting in that type of effort or energy, you're getting paid even more? So the first thing I always recommend doing, and again, Dan talks about this in Buy Back Your Time, going through your schedule. If you already do a good job of keeping a tight calendar or a tight schedule, take the last month and go through and look at it on an item-to-item basis. If you don't do a good job keeping a tight calendar or schedule, you need to start doing that right away. Put together a list, put together a calendar, and every time you're spending more than 15 minutes on a task, you really need to write it down. So that way you can keep track of what you've been doing. Because this is the first step. You have to know what you're doing with your time in order to elevate the value of your time, because there's only so much time in a day. Just like I said at the start of this video, time is your most valuable asset. It is also a finite asset. There's only so much of it. So in order to increase the value of that asset, to increase the value of your time, we have to get rid of the things on your calendar and on your schedule that aren't worth that $65 per hour. So let's say we're going through this list, and for the sake of an example, let's say that you had, data entry into your CRM. It seems important as an independent agent. I get it. This seems like something that you need to be doing, but the reality is data entry into a CRM is something you can delegate to someone like a virtual assistant, and you can save your time. And the way you need to look at this is you're banking that value of your time. If your time is $65 an hour, if you can save an hour of your time, you're saving $65. So the virtual assistant, let's say, again, for the sake of this video, let's say you're paying $10 per hour for that virtual assistant. Why would you, as an independent agent, as a business owner, why would you spend $65 to do a task that could be easily done by someone at $10 per hour, right? That's the sort of math where this starts to get exciting. If you're not used to delegating, maybe you're bad at it. Maybe you're scared. There's a lot of reasons why business owners and agents and agency owners really struggle with this. The logical fallacy of I can do it myself, or it's easier or faster if I do it myself. That might be true if it's a one-time 10-minute task. Okay, I'll let you have that one, but if it's a reoccurring task where all of a sudden you're spending more than 30 minutes of your month even, I would argue, and all of a sudden this starts to build up. Something like data entry into a CRM, it might only be 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, but if you're doing that day over day over day, week over week over week, it could be 2.5 hours a week. Like, again, 30 minutes a day, 2.5 hours a week, 10 hours a month. 10 hours a month would be $650 of your time in a dollars to time value exchange here. And you could have taken that and spent $100, and now you're netting that $500 in time back. So now you're getting that time back, that finite asset, something that you only have so much of. And you can go out and generate way more revenue by focusing on something that's a high value task, something that's actually generating a lot more money, a lot more revenue. Some other reasons why agents and agency owners struggle with delegation. There's this fear that if you don't do it, you think that it's not going to get done or it's going to be done incorrectly. And as someone who's been doing this for more than 10 years, who's been working with hundreds and has hired thousands of virtual assistants, what I can tell you is rarely is it ever done exactly the way that I would do it. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't worth the value exchange that I got by paying someone a lot less than what my time is worth. Even if it's only done up to 80% of how you would have done it yourself, the value is still there, right? Because if it's 20% of the cost of your time to have someone else do it, you would be crazy not to do it, right? If I gave you $10, instead of spending all of it to get something done, you could take $2 and hand it to someone else and they're going to get that task done and you get to keep $8. Wouldn't you want to do that as much as possible over and over, rinse and repeat, so you can really maximize your time and maximize revenue, whether you're an independent agent or an agency owner or a small business owner? That's the sort of exchange that we're talking about here. Another reason why a lot of agents suck at delegation: no SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. This is what really makes it easy to hand off a task. And what I tell people a lot of times too, you really need to know what you're doing with that task before you can hand it off. It's hard to hand something off if you've never done it before, you're not sure how to do it. So something like a CRM is a great example where if you've been doing data entry into a CRM day after day after day, it's easy to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing when I'm entering data into the CRM. And doing a simple video like this can be a great way to hand off that task, right? Shout out to Loom, great software tool that I use all the time. Loom can help you share your screen, record yourself, and also will give you an automated summary based on AI from the video. And so now you can send over this video of the screen recording of what you're doing, including step-by-step instructions from an AI summary. It is an incredible tool when it comes to handing off some of these time-sucking, low-level, no revenue, low revenue tasks that you should never be doing as an agent or as a business owner. And then finally, one of the last things I wanted to mention with why agents struggle with delegation here is being confused by being busy versus being productive. And that's why I think it's important to really come back to what is the value of these tasks that you're doing. Because I know, again, as someone who's been in this space for a decade, I can tell you I've had days where I've been grinding for 10 hours straight. And I feel like I must have gotten a lot done, but then I turn around and I look at what I did all day, and the big picture tasks, the items that actually moved the needle in my company, I didn't get done. I didn't even get to look at because I was too busy doing things like answering the phone, checking emails, essentially being my own admin. I did that for years before I really cracked the code on what I should be touching and what I need to hand off immediately, right? And that's what I want to help you guys with. So what can a virtual assistant really do for you? So I want to go back to the kind of the accounting of your time, right? So you start to keep a tight schedule, or you already had a tight schedule, and now you go through each item. And there's kind of typically I recommend like a 3-level process when you look at a task. It's kind of like the definitely low revenue, no revenue tasks, things like data entry, setting out SOAs is a great example, checking emails. I think answering the phone is another great one. Like all of these really low revenue or no revenue generating tasks, anything like that should automatically be circled, right? Or if you're doing like a color system, that's like the green, that's the ones where you're like, this has to get handed off. Like I cannot spend any more time on these tasks. Then your next one would be kind of the mid-level tasks, right? The things that maybe it's a little higher level where, let's say they are doing something like setting an appointment, not something that you want to hand off right away. Maybe you need to train them on it. Maybe it's something that you're the master of, right? Is setting an appointment with a client, calling leads as an example. If it's an inbound call, maybe that's an easy appointment set for the virtual assistant right off the gate. That could be kind of a mid-level task, right? There is revenue kind of being generated in the near future when you set that appointment. And then obviously like a top level item would be spending your time actually selling. Right? Writing the actual policies, that's where the real money is. That's where you want to spend as much of your time as possible because that's something that no one else can do. Your virtual assistant can't sell policies for you. You could hire an LOA in-house. Obviously, that's an option, or bring in another agent to work for you, right? But that's still not going to be as much revenue as if you're actually selling. Like most of the time as an independent agent, this is your highest level revenue generating task, is actually selling insurance. If you're an agency owner, it will look a little different because you might have a team of agents under you selling for your agency. But for the sake of this video, let's say this is your top level, right? Is actually selling insurance, writing the actual policies. So that would kind of be the 3 steps, right? You have kind of that mid-level, the high-level admin task where you could easily train someone to do it, but maybe not right away. Maybe that's not something you hand off right away. Maybe that's something that you keep doing, but then you train someone. Then you have those low-level tasks where you can easily hand those off to someone right away. And then the top level, that's the ones that you want to be in as much as possible. This is what you're trying to do, is you're trying to delegate to buy back your time, to stay and reinvest your time, to stay in that high-level activity, the top revenue generating, which would be, again, selling insurance. So to kind of wrap this up, and I'll plug this book one more time. If you're looking for a great resource, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He does an incredible job going through this process. Another book that I've loved, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, figuring out how you can efficiently delegate. And I want to get into more of kind of the tools and tips beyond what I already shared in today's video. I want to have some future videos. We'll get into some more details. But this is really the first step, is tracking where you're spending your time, understanding what your time is worth, and then just like you would with a bank ledger, right? Where you're basically going through a bank ledger and you could say, this is an expense, this is revenue. You need to be able to do that with your schedule. And here's the reality, is this never changes. This never goes away. This is something I still do all the time. Even as a CEO, even as someone who's been doing this for 10 years, I'm still auditing my calendar. I'm still auditing my task and trying to figure out, is this something I should really be doing? Or is this something I can hand off to a member of my team? And a lot of times, based on the skill set and how long I've been working with some of my team members, a lot of times if I do it myself, I'm doing it slower. I'm not doing it as good as someone else on my team could do it. And it's ultimately, I'm losing money. I'm losing money by doing a lot of these tasks. So it is, part of this is a mindset of being able to just really wrap your head around that concept of, this is roughly what my time is worth. This is roughly what the cost to do these tasks are. Again, kind of low, mid, high, right? 1, 2, 3, all of those low ones, the ones, those are the ones you've got to get out immediately, get rid of immediately. And then the mid-level ones, maybe you keep doing, but you can train someone on. And then you try to stay in those top level tasks as much as possible. So that's the compounding effect of how you can really increase the value of your time. We talked about what your time is worth. The goal is, once you calculate what your time is worth, is how can you increase it, right? How can you make your time worth more? And ultimately, as you're going through this process, you'll see that continue to creep up because you're spending more time on your highest revenue generating activities. Until next time, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the comment, drop a comment below this video, hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, happy delegating.